Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about summary procedures. Um, I already explained this in brief yesterday, so we'll be discussing it in a bit detail today. What summary procedure is exactly is it's the provisions are in Order 37 CPC 1908 and the procedure of summary procedure. Matlab, the suits which could be tried summarily have a specific kind of procedure which is to be followed during the trial of those kinds of suits which have been specified in this order and which could be tried summarily. And there are also a certain category of courts to which the summary procedure is allowed. So we'll be watching this particular PPT and we'll be dealing with the 3 or 4 kinds of issues. First of all, uh, what is the process, what is the procedure which is to be followed in summary procedure. Second of all, what kind of courts can try a particular suit summarily. And third one is what are the classes of suits which have been specified in Order 37 which could be tried summarily. So let's go through the summary of this particular concept here first. Okay, I've this included why such kind of procedure is there. I've included this reason why they have included summary procedure in CPC. So earlier this procedure was only followed for negotiable instruments acts. It means that negotiable instrument जितने भी हैं, चाहे bill of exchange है, promissory notes हैं, hundies हैं, for them it used to be there this process of summary procedure. Because the reason behind this particular concept was that the code and the legislature thought that the person who is a defendant here does not have a substantive defense because the claim of plaintiff is dependent upon a written contract or a written instrument which can be proved in the court very easily. And once it is proved in the court and the breach is proved in the court, then defendant does not have any substantial defense to that effect. And without having any substantial defense, there is no use of delaying the remedy to the plaintiff. And because most of the commercial transactions are also the one who are conducted by the mode of negotiable instruments, that people issue promissory notes to each other and bill of exchange to each other and everything. And if there is any claim which is related to that particular negotiable instrument, then legislature thought that we need not to waste time to grant this remedy to the plaintiff. So they included negotiable instruments there. But later on, legislature thought that not only in negotiable instruments, but also in written contracts and in any liquidated damages which has already been decided between the parties during some instrument, in those kinds of cases also people can apply under summary process, and which is stated here. Let's come to subrule 2, which classes of suits could be tried summarily, in which the suits upon bill of exchange, hundies, and promissory notes, and suits in which the plaintiff seeks only to recover a debt or liquidated demand in money payable by the defendant with or without interest, arising from what? From a written contract. कोई written contract था आप लोगों का आपस में, या फिर on an enactment where the sum sought to be recovered is a fixed sum money and nature of the debt other than a penalty. मतलब कि आपका कोई फिक्स अमाउंट है जिसके बारे में आपको कुछ क्लेम नहीं करना है, कोई मिटिगेशन वैल्यू नहीं है, कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है, वो सारी चीजें जो ऑलरेडी डिसाइडेड है उनके ही ये यूज किया जाता था. एंड ऑन अ गारंटी वेयर क्लेम अगेंस्ट द प्रिंसिपल इज इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ द डेट ऑफ लिक्विडेटेड डिमांड ओनली. गारंटी का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आप जानते हैं, उसके अंदर प्रिंसिपल और जो डेटर और जो क्रेडिटर होता है, इन सब का जो रिलेशन होता है, अगर गारंटी के ऊपर रिलेटेड है and the claim is against the principal is in the respect of the debt or liquidated demand, then also summary procedure can be applied. So you need to keep this in mind, that what kind of suits are allowed to be tried summarily under this code. Let's come to the third slide first, that what kind of courts are eligible to try these suits summarily. So first of all, they've written high courts, city civil courts, and courts of small causes, and they've written other courts also. So हाई कोर्ट्स हम लोग जानते हैं, हाई कोर्ट क्या होता है. सिटी सिविल कोर्ट जो है वो 1976 का ये अमेंडमेंट है. point of time, city civil courts were the one which were in metropolitan areas. So the court which was situated in metropolitan areas were named as city civil courts. And apart from those metropolitan areas, in each and every district of India, there were these other courts, and those are named in the B clause of this sub rule. So they're saying that all of these courts have power to try these suits summarily, but provided for these other courts, they have to refer to clause B, and they have to say that if High Court thinks that they must restrict the operation of this summary procedure by some category, they can restrict the procedure. For example, कि अगर मान लीजिए हाई कोर्ट को लगता है कि कोई ऐसा कोर्ट है जो अदर कोर्ट्स के कंडीशन में आता है और उस अदर कोर्ट्स के लिए हाई कोर्ट अगर कोई नोटिफिकेशन स्पेसिफिकली पास करता है कि दिस एरिया is under these other courts ka jurisdiction, and in this court a particular kind of suit will not be tried summarily, is not allowed to be tried summarily, then if there is any notification to that effect, then it is effective from point of view of that particular other court. Otherwise, each and every court is allowed to try these suits summarily. So these are the main points in the second slide, that why such kind of procedure was there. I have explained this. Please go through this slide. I've also sent this file to you on your WhatsApp group, and I'll also mail this particular file to you so that we can keep a record of it. And in the second slide, I have included this in third slide, that what is the procedure in summary suit. So I have included this process in a summary manner कि क्या होता है exactly. सबसे पहले plaint is filed by the plaintiff, and plaint file होते ही the second thing what they do is summons are issued to the defendant to enter an appearance. What is this enter an appearance thing is, once the person who is a plaintiff has filed the plaint, the summon will be issued by the court to the defendant that please enter an appearance. मतलब कि defendant को सिर्फ अभी आने के लिए कहा गया है. He has not been asked to submit any kind of reply or submit any kind of evidence or procedure, anything. So the person who is a defendant here is called upon to enter an appearance, and the form of which has been specifically provided in the schedule of CPC, which has been provided behind the CPC. And in the next point, defendant has to appear within 10 days from the service of this summon, the summon which was issued immediately after the plaintiff has filed the plaint. So the first appearance happens after 10 days of the summon, which has been served upon the defendant to enter an appearance. If defendant does not appear, the plaint shall be deemed to be admitted and plaintiff shall be entitled to the decree. And if defendant appears, then he shall give notice of his appearance to the pleader of the plaintiff or to plaintiff. And also he has to file an address in the court for service of any further summon to that effect. Further summon or further notice to that effect. After that, after getting notice of appearance from the defendant, plaintiff serves him summon for judgment. The second summon which is issued here is that the person who is here, a defendant, will be served another summon from the plaintiff which would be of judgment, and the defendant must apply for leave to defend within 10 days from the date of service of summons upon him, and such leave will be granted only if the affidavit filed by the defendant discloses such fact as may be deemed to be sufficient by the court. If court thinks that defendant has some valid points of defense to be presented in this case, only then and then court will allow the defendant to defend this particular suit. Otherwise, court is at discretion about this particular thing, that it does not have to, or it is not under any foundation to allow the defendant to defend this particular suit, because this is summary process. After this, we have already been through this sub rule 1, and this is the case of Madras High Court 2013. I have included this case so that you guys can refer to one case at least for this. That High Court has only power to restrict the operation of this particular provision for other courts, but it cannot take away the right of that particular court towards summary process. Okay, So every court in this particular territory in India has a right to try these class of suits summarily, unless High Court has restricted the operation of other courts regarding that particular class. So how the summary suit is instituted, this is rule 2 sub rule 1, which says a suit to which this order applies may, if the plaintiff desires to proceed hereunder, be instituted by presenting a plaint. That plaintiff has to present a plaint as we normally do. But what you have to do is drafting ke time pe you are supposed to specifically write it above the plaint that you are applying under order 37, and that you have not violated this rule and you have not violated any of the guidelines which have been provided in this order 37. What happens after this is that the defendant shall not defend the suit referred to in sub rule 1 unless he enters an appearance, and in default of his entering an appearance, the allegation in the plaint shall be deemed to be admitted, and the plaintiff shall entitle to a decree for any sum. If he does not appear, then plaintiff is entitled to the decree of any sum. But if the defendant appears, it will continue further. Okay. And also we have to keep one thing in mind here, that when at first plaintiff filed the plaint and the summons were issued to the defendant, those summons, when you open that summon in scheduled part of our CPC, you will see that the summon which are issued to the defendant clearly states the amount which is claimed by the plaintiff against the defendant. So now what is the takeaway from this particular incident is that defendant is already informed in the first summon that if you're not appearing, if you're not entering an appearance against this particular plaint, then you'll have to pay the plaintiff such and such amount. And if he does not appear, then court is at liberty to pass judgment on the next date. Let's move on to the next rule, which is rule 3. Rule 3 says that procedure kya hai when the defendant appears. So in a suit which this order applies, the plaintiff shall, together with the summons under rule 2, serve on defendant copy of plaint and annexures, jitne bhi hain uske, the evidences, the documents on which he is relying. The defendant may at any time within 10 days of such service enter an appearance, either in person or by pleader. It is on his particular choice. He shall file in court an address for service or notice on him, so that any further notice or any further summon can be issued to him on a proper address, so that this particular incident, this address for service of notice on him has been included in this, so that because in this, if defendant fails to appear in any date of hearing, the plaintiff who has filed the claim is entitled to the decree outrightly, so that the right of defendant is not hampered, is not prejudicially destroyed. For that particular thing, they have included this address provision, so that defendant can file a fresh address if he has, so that he can be well informed in that case and he can appear whenever it is required. So let's move on to the next slide, which says how to enter on defense in such a suit. If your client is the one against whom such a summary suit has been filed, what you have to do is, on the date of entering of appearance, notice of such appearance shall be given by the defendant to the plaintiff's pleader. And if the plaintiff sues in person to the plaintiff himself, you have to serve the notice on him that I have appeared in this case, either by notice delivered at or sent by pre-said letter directed to the address of the plaintiff pleader or plaintiff. या तो नोटिस दे सकते हैं या फिर कोई आप लेटर उसको भेज सकते हैं, so that he has notice of your appearance. Now, so let's move on to the next slide, which says yes, what plaintiff does after defendant enters. What plaintiff has to do is, after the appearance of the defendant, is that he has to serve the another notice, the another summon, and which is to be called summon for judgment, so that the defendant knows that if he does not appear in this case, he has to pay a particular amount of sum to the other party, and he will not be able to avoid that unless he enters an appearance and unless he enters or unless he appears on the date of the judgment. For such other form as may be prescribed from time to time returnable not less than 10 days. They are saying that he has to appear within 10 days after the summon for judgment has been served upon him. Let's move on to the next slide. How to defend in such a suit, that if your client is the defendant here, how you are supposed to defend him. So rule 3 sub rule 5 says that defendant may at any time within 10 days from the service of such summon for judgment by affidavit or otherwise disclosing such facts as he thinks that they are substantive for this particular case, he can apply for leave to defend in such suit. And court can grant him that leave with some conditions or without any condition, whatever the judge thinks fit. Here are two provisos: provided that leave to defend shall not be refused unless court is satisfied that the facts disclosed by defendant do not indicate that he has a substantial defense, and provided further that where a part of the amount claimed by the plaintiff is admitted by the defendant, then leave to defend will only be granted to the defendant जब he deposits the amount in the court, the amount which he has admitted. For example, मान लीजिए कि कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट था आप लोगों के बीच में and Tanya has sued you now and you have to pay her 1 crore rupees in this particular summary suit. And you have, as a defendant, you have agreed to the amount of 10 lakh rupees as her claim, that you have agreed that, yeah, 10 lakh rupees are due and are to be paid to the plaintiff here. So court will not allow you to defend this particular suit unless you pay 10 lakh rupees into the court that you have to deposit in the court. Only then and then court will allow you to defend this suit as a defendant. So let's move on to the next slide. Here I've included a case law in which there are guidelines which are discussed in a case, Messrs. Uma Shankar Kamal Narayan and another versus Messrs. MD Overseas Limited, 2007 का Supreme Court का case है, in which I have included these guidelines. The court has discussed that the judge can allow the defendant to defend the suits if it completes any of this criteria. So you need to go through this the case law. Please see it, and you can ask me in case of any doubt. What happens upon hearing? Let's move on to the next slide, which talks about rule 3 sub rule 6, that at the hearing of such summons for judgment, what happens is if the defendant has not applied for leave to defend, then plaintiff is entitled to the judgment forthwith. And if the defendant is permitted to defend as to the whole or any part of the claim, the court or the judge may direct him to give such security. Court can ask for security from the defendant, and within such time as may be fixed by the court or judge, and on failure to give such security which has been asked by the court to deposit in the office, then the judge can also pass a judgment forthwith if the defendant does not deposit the security. So it is upon the court's discretion completely whether it allows or does not allow to the defendant to defend the suit. Next, please. Let's move on to the next slide, which is rule 3 sub rule 7. This says condonation of delay to defend. That if the person who is a defendant here could not appear because of some sufficient reason and he could not apply for leave to defend, then if he shows some sufficient cause to the court and if court is satisfied that he could not appear because of a sufficient reason, court can also entertain that particular application and can set aside that particular judgment and can hear the defendant in that particular case. So here is condonation of delay, sub rule 7, rule 3. Next, rule 4 talks about power to set aside the decree. And here is what I was talking about in the earlier rule, that if court thinks because of any other reason, court thinks that he has to or he must, in the interest of justice, set aside the decree, then court can do that also. Under this rule, court has power. And in the next rule, power to order bill to be deposited with the officer of the court. If court thinks that plaintiff who is claiming under some kind of bill that he must deposit in the court, that court can also ask to that person to deposit it in the court. It is on the discretion of the court. And Rule 6 talks about recovery of cost of noting and non-acceptance of dishonored bill or note. Because generally what happens is in Negotiable Instrument Act, if any kind of instrument which is dishonored by the party, then the person has to give noting of that non-acceptance and dishonored bill and such a incident. So the person has to apply, and that person has also spent some money on that. So that cost of noting and non-acceptance is also included in the damages in this particular suit. That is what they're saying. And this is the last rule of this particular order, which says that save as provided by this order, the procedure in suits hereunder shall be the same as the procedure in suit instituted in the ordinary manner. They have explained here that the suit which has been filed here is will be having the same procedure as the ordinary suit has in other parts of CPC, except the procedure which has been specifically provided in this order. जैसे यहाँ पे 2 बार समन जाएगा, समन के बाद आउटराइट की अगर अपेयर नहीं होगा तो उसके पास डिक्री पास हो जाएगा. ये सारी चीजें जो लिखी हैं, they'll be the same as in the ordinary suit. And if the person does not follow this, then the order can be also passed against the person. ये सारी चीजें वही रहेंगी जो इस ऑर्डर में स्पेसिफिकली दे दी गई हैं. बस इसके अलावा ऑर्डिनरी सूट में जो एविडेंसेस होते हैं, जो इश्यूज होते हैं, सेटलमेंट ऑफ इश्यूज होते हैं, सारी चीजें जो होती हैं, कुछ चीजें जो इस ऑर्डर में नहीं दी गई हैं बट आपको करनी पड़ रही हैं, वो सारी चीजें आप ऑर्डिनरी सूट के प्रोसीजर से ले लेंगे. दैट इज व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. सो दिस इज काइंड ऑफ अ सेविंग क्लॉज कि कोर्ट जो है उसको प्रोसीजर अपने हिसाब से चलाने का पावर दिया गया है. सो दिस इज अबाउट समरी प्रोसीजर. So please tell me if you have any doubt about it, and feel free to contact me about it. Okay. Thank you.